here with Dr. Caroline Pacoe, principal of the International School Banglore, TISB, and we're just going to have a conversation today about the school and learn a little bit more about it. So first question I have for you, Dr. Pacoe, is can you provide just an overview of the boarding school from TISB and its sort of the prominent features, the standout?
Yes, of course. Well, the school is coming up to its 25th anniversary, so in terms of India, it's quite a well-established school, and we follow the IGCSE curriculum until grade 10, and then the IB diploma in grades 11 and 12. And we have 3 boarding houses. We have the junior boys boarding house and the senior boys boarding house and the girls boarding house. So out of a school of 1,100, in the senior school we have 700 students, and about half of those are boarders. So we do have quite a substantial boarding community, and alongside the students we have 80 plus staff who reside on campus as well. And I think that's one of the sort of breathtaking things about the school, is as soon as you come through the gate, it's the campus that blows you away. We're on 140 acres of sort of well-maintained manicured gardens, as well as all the sports pitches. And then we have our own golf driving range and an area at the back of the school that we use for camping and cycling. So I think it is the lushness and the expanse of the site that is really appealing. And as a result of it, we've got a very positive environment to learn and live in. And obviously there's lots of opportunities on the campus for boarders. We're a very diverse community, so most of the states in India are represented within the boarding house, as well as many NRIs who are overseas, together with Korean and Thai children. So again, that diversity adds quite an interesting mix in the boarding house, and along with our school values of collaboration and camaraderie, it creates a sort of very sort of collaborative and respectful community. And I think one of the signature events that we're very well known for, not just in Bangalore but also in India, is our student leadership. I'm very, very keen to develop student leadership, and we have 2 main events that happen in the school, and it's run by the grade 11 and 12 students, and that's Vivum, which is a sport and cultural event that the students take over the school. They organise absolutely everything, down to merchandise, to the budgets, to security. They organise absolutely everything for 2 days, and ordinarily they will raise sort of 20,000, equivalent to £20,000 for a given charity. So that's one event. We also run a business fest called Savage, also run by the grade 11 and 12 students. But also we've got, within just the boarding community, we have the junior boys football and the girls basketball league. So every boarder from grade 6 to grade 8 take part in this event, and it's run by the grade 9 students. And it's very much like the football leagues and basketball leagues abroad, where they buy players, they select players, and then the teams play. Again, merchandise is purchased, and it culminates into a fantastic sort of festival for the final. And I think it's these holistic and leadership opportunities that actually the students really thrive on. But of course, alongside that is our academic rigour. We are well known for being a very academic school. In fact, last year we were ranked the top boarding school in India for IB grades. So, and the way we achieve that for the boarders is that obviously there are staff who live on campus and are able to give tuition. We have a very structured boarding day and evening where there's ample time for academic study. All the labs, library, all the facilities are open at certain times for the boarders as well. And of course, with grades 12 and 6 in boarding, there's also a lot of peer learning. So there is, I describe TISB boarding with the 3 Fs: fun, focused and future thinking. And I think that in a way would sum up our boarding community.
Excellent. Well, it's really interesting everything you said. It's just like there's so much happening, it sounds like. But you did also mention that you have, boarding students and day students in the school. So can you talk a little bit about the benefits of boarding compared to day school in your school or in any school or in general, like just the benefits of being in a boarding environment?
Yes, I think it's well documented, the benefits for boarding per se. I suppose if I focus it, narrow it down to boarding at TISB, I think Bangalore traffic is very famous, and the thought of travelling over an hour on the bus is not appealing. So we have over 100 boarders, particularly in the older grades, who live in Bangalore. Don't necessarily go home at the weekend, depends on the programme, but they do live in Bangalore. So they want to board because, again, they want to take advantage of the opportunities. They want to be a little bit more independent. So that there is the traffic and the travel time in Bangalore. I would say as well, in India, the children who board with us from 2nd and 3rd tier cities, and their parents and they themselves are looking for just general greater exposure to an international curriculum, to people from different areas of India and the world, and different opportunities as well. And we'll probably talk about extracurricular activities in a minute. So they're looking for greater exposure. But I think for me, the importance of boarding is the sort of socialisation and the ability to actually get along with each other, because most of our boarders, there are 3 boarders in a room, so it doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter if it's your best friend or not, you've still got to respect their space, you've got to get on with them, you've got to tolerate, you've got to share your time and space with them. And I feel that it actually prepares them well for the future in terms of college, because 95% of our students go abroad for further study. So it prepares them well for that. But it also makes them wholesome people, I think, in the fact that there is this ability to just get along with other people and to share and respect, I think. So for me, that's the number one reason, I think, for coming into boarding.
That's interesting that you have so many Bangalore-based boarders, and it kind of speaks a lot to how much trust the parents are putting in you. And so that kind of leads me to the question of, what you do to ensure, safety, well-being, just sort of dealing with any issues that come up among boarders. How do you handle that in the school? Because that's a very common question among parents.
Absolutely, yes. And if I sort of divide it into 2, if I talk about safety first, and with having such a large campus, we have a very large security team. And in fact, actually outside of the boarding houses, we have a designated security guard, a female outside the girls' boarding house. And I think that adds a little bit of reassurance to parents, but also they serve as they keep people out of the boarding house as well as keeping the people in the house safe. So we have a security team, as well as having the designated staff. We have 1 member of non-teaching staff, which is quite unusual, one member of non-teaching staff that is allocated a grade. So there'll be a member of staff that just looks after the girls in grade 9, for example. And that member of staff is with them for most of the time. So they're at meal times, making sure that all the boarders eat properly. They're there in the evenings, obviously, and during the weekends as well. So we do have quite a high ratio of staff. But alongside that, we've got a culture where we do listen. We would rather have a culture of, we have well-established routines, but we would rather have a culture where actually the young people develop self-discipline rather than us having to nag, rather than us having to sort of reprimand all the time. So we do have a culture that develops, or you need to put your lights out now because that's the right thing for you, because you need to do this the next day. So we do have that ethos of where it's about self-regulation as well as following the routines. And we do have quite a well-structured programme. We also have, obviously food is very important for a boarder. So our kitchens have 5 stars, which have been given by the FSSI. So we maintain certain standards in the dining room. And we offer a range of Indian as well as continental dishes. And we have a much loved tuck shop as well after afternoon activities. So in terms of food and snacks and fruit and healthy eating, that's all there. And in fact, on a termly basis, we have a parent who comes in and gives a talk about nutrition and how to vary your diet according to the different seasons here in India, which is quite important. So, and then also residing on campus, we have school counsellors who children can self-refer themselves, or we can ask them to go and see the counsellor. And we have a 24/7 medical centre that's open as well. So, and also in terms of well-being, I always believe in keeping boarders busy, and so we do have quite a full programme of activities both during the week and the weekends, which allows them to gain friendships within the boarding. And then we do allow, unlike a lot of other Indian schools, we do allow mobiles once a day at a designated time, a restricted time, and there is Wi-Fi, but again that's restricted. So they are able to contact home as well, which is really important.
Nice, yes, I think that's important.
Yeah.
So yes, you mentioned that we would talk about extracurricular activities and facilities. So why don't we talk about that now? Tell us what are sort of some of the ways that the students keep busy and sort of sharpen their skills and develop their interests.
Yeah, well, I my last count of the number of extracurricular activities during the week. So this is just week. This is open today and boarding students. Was 82.
Oh wow.
And that includes obviously all the sports, and we have an extensive sporting programme. And in fact, I'm quite proud at the moment because we're ranked 3rd in the Independent Schools Sporting Association sort of tournament, which covers a multitude of sports. So we are doing very well at sports. So there's all the sport there. We've just had a music gala, so many of the boarders took part in that. So we have a very strong music programme where over 400 children take individual music lessons, and so they want the opportunity to perform. We always each term we have a drama performance. So again, that's going to happen in November, and again, many boarders are involved both on the stage and backstage. But then we have a whole myriad of clubs that are actually run by students themselves. So, and our philosophy is that if you arrive at TISB and, I don't know, Rubik's Cube is your love and there isn't a club, well, you need to speak to the coordinator and they will help you set up that club, and there is a very thriving Rubik's Cube club now. So there are many student-led activities, and after the school day, the boarders are encouraged to take up 4 after-school activities. So it's not about going back to the boarding house and sitting on your bed, and it's about actually getting out, so doing meaningful activities with maybe different people. And so that happens after school, and then there's prep time for the boarders. But at the weekends, one of our missions after COVID was to make sure that the weekends weren't just about going to the shopping mall or going to the cinema. So many of the seniors organise activities on the campus for boarders, which may range from the art department being open, or we've just had Gandhi's birthday, and there was a planting a tree campaign, so boarders all planted a tree. So
Okay.
that was really lovely. So there's a whole multitude of weekend activities.
Sounds busy.
Yeah, the favourite one is camping and having a bonfire and dancing and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Lovely. Okay. So you mentioned that this is the 25th year for TISB. So I wanted to know, given that you must have a lot of alumni, and could you tell us about some notable alumni or some exemplary, sort of graduates of the school who've sort of gone on to create success stories?
Yes, yeah. And as we are leading up to our 25th anniversary, we are trying to link more with our alumni around the world. And in fact, last year for our graduation, for the first time, we had an alumni who spoke, and it was Abhishek Krishnan, who's he's starred in a Bollywood movie, and is an actor, but now has started up his own company. So it's certainly nice to engage with alumni. And what's interesting, as a science and an economics and maths focused school, and many of our alumni are actually in the field of creative arts, or they've gone into hospitality. So that's been very interesting. But I suppose that our boarding story is Shashank Goyal, who is one of the co-founders for Third Wave Coffee.
Oh, nice.
And he came and spoke recently at the school and went to his boarding room in boarding because his roommate was the person after college. They left school, went their separate ways to college, came together during COVID, and it was his roommate in boarding was the person he initially started having the conversations with about setting up Third Wave Coffee. Third Wave relates to the third wave of COVID that we had here in India.
Interesting.
So he's very, very supportive, and it's nice to think that actually he feels his company came out of the boarding community, because that's where his entrepreneurial skills and innovative thoughts started. So that's really nice. But a lot of our students gain huge scholarships at US universities. In fact, Rohan, who got a 45 this year, he's got a quarter of $1 million scholarship over the 4 years at Davidson.
Oh, lovely.
So,
wow, nice.
Many of them do get, and as a norm, we do have a high level of scholarships for universities, and our students do great things around the world. So yes, we are building up our alumni, and we always welcome them back when they come and visit.
Lovely. Yeah, I feel like I regularly meet people who say, I went to TISB. So it seems like it's a very common to meet people from the school. So one thing I wanted to know is, how do you involve parents, particularly in the life for boarders, in the educational journey?
I think obviously it starts with communication, and it's about keeping that communication channel open. So we do that in a variety of ways. Obviously there's the sort of weekly newsletter that goes out, not just to boarding parents, but also to day parents. There's all the handbooks and the information that is initially sent. And we do spend a while at the beginning of the academic year, the boarding parents spend a weekend with us to actually also have an induction. So when their child talks about golden time, for example, the parent knows what that means. That's the time they're studying. So to induct the parents has been very useful. But since COVID, we've kept our online coffee catch-ups, which so the pastoral team and we get together with all the parents online, and we just have what's working well, what needs to change, any suggestions, any issues, which has been really great. And I love one of their suggestions recently was that they would like, and this was unanimous, they would like their children to write a letter to them once a month. So once a month now, the boarders are given it's called a bluey, a letter prepaid letter to write and send home, and so parents are appreciating that. So the coffee catch-ups are very important. Plus we also have parental reps that are a little bit more official and give us some input. We unlike some schools abroad, we don't have formal exeats, so the children stay on campus all the time. But if a parent or parents come for a weekend, then obviously we do allow the children out. So we're very flexible like that. And obviously parents are welcome. A lot of boarding parents come for concerts and play, and it's about making them feel special, I think, and trying to include them as much as possible in the sort of running of the school, in the daily life of the school.
That's great. It sounds like it's, like you said, you mentioned earlier, it's you listen, and having the coffee chat sounds like good listening. So
yes.
I think parents really just appreciate being heard. So that's wonderful. So I know that there are quite a few, I mean, there are a lot of boarding schools in India. There are even a couple of other boarding schools in Bangalore. So can you tell us, what do you think makes your school stand out, that people choose it, or why should they choose TISB?
Yeah, very, very good question. I think first and foremost, the difference in fees between a day scholar and a boarding scholar is not very much at all. So I would say that TISB boarding is really good value for money, actually. But also I think we have a large enough boarding community for it to be dynamic and thriving. So unlike some of the other boarding schools, with over 350 boarders, it means that there is a lot of opportunities and a lot going on, and I think it's nice to have a sort of thriving community. I'd also like to feel that actually we are well established, and therefore our processes and our procedures and the way that we listen to the students and alter things is quite a good thing. So we're not a very traditional boarding school. So for example, the gym is open at 4:30, but it's not compulsory activities really early in the morning. We do allow internet access, and we do allow mobile phones. So I think we've put a modern twist onto boarding here in India, which is I think a good thing, because we're not denying children, we're actually giving them the opportunity to have these things, but actually teaching them how to use it sensibly and wisely. I think again, going back to the diversity, we have a very diverse community, which is really important in this modern world. So international mindedness and global citizenship is really important. And along with academic rigour, I think we're a big enough school that we have so many things happening and so many opportunities that actually children can really thrive in the area where they're strong at.
Wonderful. I just have one more question, which you sort of have addressed it, but let me ask it. So what measures are in place to support students' emotional and social development? So you mentioned it a little bit. We talked about pastoral care. Is there anything more you'd like to say? If not.
Yes, well we have, I think we have heads of houses, and we have particularly in the girls' boarding house, they have a buddy system where they will listen to each other. I think it's also very much about developing a culture where it is all right to say that you're not coping, or that you're not happy, or you're feeling homesick, and you're not going to be judged. And I'd like to think that we have a whole range of people that the students can speak to, ranging from counsellor, deputy head pastoral, I live on campus, they've got the nurses, so there's a whole host of different people that they can sort of speak to or ask for help. I think our style of management of the boarding houses as well is that we're very much around the boarding houses, and we're not just sitting in an office waiting for something to happen. But we are developing the relationship, and it's that's really important, the relationship between the staff and the children. We even have staff on duty at night as well. So if there are issues at night, particularly with the junior boarders, there's again someone to talk to. And then of course we have all the official avenues and channels for children to use. We also do have, for example, the school nurse will go into the girls' boarding house and talk about menstruation. We have a parent that talks about diet and nutrition. So we do get these external speakers in to talk to the boarders about certain issues when and if they arise. And we don't just as a token, but we do it on top of maybe something that happens. And I think we're quite unusual in that we're also a co-ed school, and we've got a large number of boarders, boys and girls, on the same campus, which is quite unusual here in India. So there's quite a large emphasis on what's allowed, what's not allowed, and it's respecting those boundaries. It's about respecting the different genders as well. And that's very, very strong. Plus we have, and some of them are boarders, we have a peer support group. So these are grade 12 students that have been trained by the school counsellor who can lend a peer listening ear, which is very important. Plus we are progressive in that we have a very strident Girls Up club that deal with feminist issue, and we have an LGBTQ club as well. And I think it just reflects the sort of international global mindedness and the modern need of these young people. So I feel that we are a sort of modern boarding school.
Great. Well, sounds lovely. Thank you for spending time with me and talking about the school.
Thank you very much.
Yes.